Hey, good morning, everybody. What's up? How's everybody doing? It's early for me. Some of you may be already up and at it. It's clearly early where I am. But anyway, we're gonna get right into it. How's everybody doing today? I know what I have had almost enough rain. It's kind of been raining here for almost a week now. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna get right into it. Today I'm gonna talk really about. It's not really a super deep topic, but it's an important one, and a topic that I think we all can come back to the table every so often. Every now and then it's good to revisit these skills, and I want to talk today about organization and how to organize, and how maybe some of you organize your files, your digital files, your documents, and in terms of workflow, like how your workflow is structured. If you're a student, if you're business, I think this is a very important thing, because I started out first when I first started out in things that I do in terms of production wise, graphics. These things are this workflow is so important to what you do, and even in everyday life. I mean, it's not just like organizing your computer files and all of this, and Apple's done a pretty good job of how they help with the programs and the apps, and just how their file system is. I love the file system of how they sort of organize their files, and allow you to save stuff and your desktop. I think they've gotten it right, even though lately there was one particular product that was released earlier this year that really wasn't like the greatest product. Like, this Apple Vision Pro. Does anybody remember that? Yeah, the Apple Vision Pro was supposed to be a huge success once Apple released it. I really haven't heard that much about the Vision Pro since it was released. I don't even know a person that owns it. I mean, I've seen people online with it, but of course you have those who just jump out the moment an Apple product is released. They're just on it. Like, they just have money sitting to the side to be able to buy and purchase it. But this Vision Pro was supposed to be like a virtual. Well, Apple didn't call it they didn't want to call it a virtual piece. They wanted to be as closely integrated with the things you do every day. And I think the jury is out on that. There's a lot of mixed reviews as far as big goggles being on your face, but I really think their intention was to have a product to work in tandem with your everyday workload and workflow. I sort of disagree with this Vision Pro. It's just, number one, these goggles that fit on your face is like bulky, and could possibly be too tight. I mean, me personally, I'm a bit claustrophobic, so I'm not putting those things on and having them on for 2 hours. And then the battery life is like, I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent. I mean, I'll get back to my subject, but the battery life on these things are like 2.5 hours. So, it's virtual reality sort of deal. It didn't really work. But anyway, I believe Apple's total reason, or their total objective for this Vision Pro, was to help out with workflow throughout the day, and organization, and of course entertainment, because you really can't get away from entertainment throughout the day, especially when you have, or at night, especially when you have so many different apps and software and games, movies, subscriptions to these different streaming services. So they were trying to figure it out, but they put a lot of money into it. But yeah, back to organization. When I started dabbling or diving into production and video and graphics, I really wasn't very organized. Like, let me just be honest. And a part of that is because I never done the sort of work and had the experience to know how to save a file, when to save a file, and where to save a file on my computer. And what I found out very quickly is my computer suffered as a part of it. Like, first of all, my workflow sucked because I didn't know how to organize. I wasn't consistent in how I saved. I didn't even have an external drive, a hard drive to double save, because the saying goes, if you don't save twice, you didn't save at all. So what that means is you only saved it once on your computer. It is very likely that the worst could happen. You could lose that file and be out of luck. So for me, it's very important how we organize digitally. So as I learned, and it was quite a messy process. I learned very quickly that you do need to save to an external outside of what you are working on internally that you've saved. I was working on a project last night that I've gotten to the point now that I save at least let me say this. When working in projects, I save at least every time I do an important task, or if I'm in a project and I've like made an important change or done something major that I know is going to take me a while, that's when I put that command S. And then not only command S, but also taking that file and saving it to either another computer or another external hard drive. Now we can get into external hard drives. I have some recommendations. I'll go ahead and say one of the recommendations of hard drives. Number one, like if you're working with really large files that take up space, Lacy is a really good hard drive. I've got a couple reviews on Lacy hard drives. I tend to lean towards the solid state hard drives, just because it's no actual machine in the hard drive, so it's very fast. You can save files really, really, really fast. So it's just a good thing overall to be organized. So my organization, number one, consists of, it first starts with my desktop. Like, what are the files that I have on my desktop that I have to make sure, and not what are the files, but the files that I have to make sure that they are in order and organized in such a way that I can get to them quickly. And believe it or not, your computer is, if you're disorganized on your computer, it's going to not only show in your workflow, but your computer may be bogged down as a result of it. Like, files on your computer or on your desktop, the more files and the more apps, the more documents you have that are sitting on your desktop, it causes clutter. And your computer, each time you open up a program, it like has to go and search, and it's just not good all around. So lately I'm very intentional, and I think the key word to be organized is being intentional about how you, like I said, once again, how you save your files and what you sort of do to make sure that when you open that computer up the next day, you can find it. It's nothing more frustrating than not being able to get to your stuff. I don't know if you've ever, we've all done it, been we've gotten something to eat, had leftovers, put the leftovers in the refrigerator, and went back the next day to to receive or to retrieve those leftovers, and they weren't there. And it's like, I know I put it in here somewhere, and that's a whole nother story of a cluttered refrigerator. Like that is a disaster waiting to happen in terms of like food spoiling and stuff. So, but anyway, I'm just saying organization is just so key. Like, and I'm curious, those of you that are watching live, like, what are some of the apps that you use for organization and for your workflow? I have a few apps on my phone that I use, because obviously the phone is my iPhone is what I use the most, right? You're not really getting around that. And one thing I do have, I should say this, I do have email on my phone, which is kind of still really hard to kind of organize. And while I'm thinking about it, like Google or Gmail, which most people use Gmail, right? Gmail is really like it's on your phone. It's not the easiest to navigate when you're trying to delete emails. I don't know, maybe because I get a lot of emails every day. I'm not even sure, but now that I'm thinking about it, like, as much as I like Google, I do not like the way it's sort of structured on my phone. So I'm not sure. But yeah, I do have some tips on organization, how you organize files, how you put files in order. It's just important. I think the key word is being intentional, because if you aren't intentional, you're sort of like out there. You're just left out there to wherever or whatever you did with the last file that you used or opened. Be intentional about it. The second thing is, make sure that you have a system in how you organize, and be consistent across the board with your organization. The key is being consistent. The third thing is sort of, make sure that you are saving your work doubly, like saving it often and saving it more than once, sometimes 3 times, because you just never know. These computers we use, they're machines, they break down, and it causes a great issue. And I think for me, the stuff that I've done for clients and for other people, family members, whatever, like the important stuff, you just gotta make sure that you save it. Like it's just super important that you do that. But yeah, this wasn't a real deep conversation. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about maybe some of the stuff that I'm using, some of the apps that I'm using. I'm also curious as to what apps you guys are using. All right, where you guys coming from? Let's see if I got any comments in the comment section. And yeah, that's what I've got going on. I've got a few projects, and sometimes it's just really hard to work efficiently if you don't start out. It's all what I've learned too. It's all in how you start. Somebody say, what the leftovers doing? What was I saying? It's really hard to, it's all in how you start. So when you start a new file, you open up a new file, if you don't start this file or this project correctly, it's going to be really hard to kind of backtrack. And I know we have some programs, like I work in Adobe Premiere, for example. Adobe Premiere, and they it actually saves it automatically for you, which I think is a good thing. Like, they'll save your files that you're working on. For those of you that don't know about Adobe Premiere, it's a video editing software. It's just like iMovie. It's just a bigger, better version. But Adobe saves for you. And yesterday I was doing some maintenance on my computer, and what I mean by maintenance is I was actually cleaning up, because that's another thing. You got to clean up. That's probably part number 3. You got to clean up the clutter. I was doing some maintenance on my computer, and I saw all of these Adobe files is everywhere. And what you don't know, Adobe will randomly save each time, and as it saves in a folder on your desktop. And it's like, it's probably a way that I can change that system of how it saves. But it's great. It's great that it saves it. It's just where it puts it and places it on the desktop. But you know, systems are important when you're working on projects. It's very important to have a true and tried system, and your system may not be like mine. So, yep, that's just my little take, my opinion, and appreciate you guys again for joining me. We'll be rocking out this week. I will be back up on live later on this week, and yeah, leave in the comments what sort of apps that you use. I'm interested to see those things, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right.